moment of history in Brazil as the country's first female president is sworn into office. Dilma Rousseff has been sworn in as the new president of Brazil, the first woman to lead Latin America's biggest nation. In her inaugural speech, she promised to consolidate the work of her predecessor, Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, saying he'd transform the way Brazil was governed and lifted millions out of misery.
The skies above the Brazilian capital were heavy with rain as the presidential cortege moved slowly through the streets towards the Congress building. Flanked by her 6 closest female bodyguards, President-elect Rousseff, barely visible under the vehicle's canopy, waved at the cheering crowds lining the route. At Congress, Dilma Rousseff beamed at the assembled dignitaries and congressmen as she made her way towards the swearing-in ceremony. Although widely seen as less charismatic than her predecessor, Lula da Silva, Dilma Rousseff, as the country's first woman president, has a new and distinctive status.
Meus queridos brasileiros e brasileiras.
My dear Brazilian men and women, through the sovereign decision of the people, today it will be the first time that the role of president will be given to a woman in Brazil.
It's a more prosperous and confident Brazil, which now changes hands from Lula to Dilma. And with the transfer of the presidential sash, his successor pledged to safeguard and build on his achievement. But the underlying problems of poverty and violence pose a massive challenge in what is still a grossly unequal society.
I believe and will work for us all to be united, to make the necessary changes in education, in health and security, and above all in the fight to end poverty and misery.
Among the many guests at the ceremony was US Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. The warmth of their meeting surely a favourable sign for future relations between the 2 powerhouse economies of the Western Hemisphere. Jim Fish, BBC News.
And from Brazil, here's the BBC's Paulo Cabral on the changes and the challenges that President Rousseff will face in office.
Dilma Rousseff is now the first woman ever to occupy the highest office in Brazil. And that's not all. She's brought quite a lot of women with her to the government. These are the buildings of the ministries here in Brasilia, and in Dilma Rousseff's cabinet there will be 9 women out of the 37 cabinet posts, more than in any other previous government in Brazil. And Brazilian women are excited about what will happen during Dilma Rousseff's government.
I think this is an historical event, the first woman that's going to be president in Brazil, and I hope everything is going to be okay, and I wish her all the best.
Mrs. Rousseff receives a country enjoying a period of economic boom and confidence in the future unseen in decades. It's just the kind of thing any political leader could wish for. But there are significant challenges ahead if Brazil is to fulfill its ambitious growth expectations. And Mrs. Rousseff tried to make it clear in her inaugural address that she is aware of the problems. She will have to deal with Brazil's deficient infrastructure, transport, telecommunications, energy. All of this has to be revamped if Brazil wants to grow and lose its position as one of the most unequal societies in the world. Paulo Cabral, BBC News, Brasília.